If you want to buy an Airbnb in Mexico, then this video is for you because I interview Lolo Benjamin. He's a realtor and property manager there who specializes in helping people who don't live in Mexico get their properties managed for Airbnb, specifically in Cabo. We cover everything from how much property management costs, what property management actually covers in Mexico, and things to put in your contract to make sure you aren't getting screwed by property managers. And if you're looking to buy a property in Mexico, I created a free step-by-step guide you can download with the link in the description. Also, if you're serious, I suggest you reach out to Lolo. I left his information down low. He can help you buy a property as an agent or get it managed or just be as someone that you can learn from and get advice from on how to actually do this. And he can really help you make your investment a lot more passive, which I'm all for. What's up, everyone? Today I have Lolo in the house. He is a realtor and a property manager in Cabo. And thank you for joining us. Lolo, you want to tell us a little bit about what you do?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me, Antonio. My name is Lawrence Benjamin. My friends call me Lolo. We have a small little company we started down here in Cabo San Lucas called Cabo Casas de Lolo. I know, go figure. Having some fun with it. And we do, just as you said, real estate sales. We do vacation rentals and property management. So we just help everyone just live the dream.
And given that you speak English, I'm assuming you help a lot of English buyers trying to buy in Mexico.
Yes, I struggle with the locals. I'm not going to lie. So if anyone, any English speaking, French speaking, I'm good.
Okay.
So absolutely, yes.
Cool. Awesome. And you work with investors as well, I'm assuming?
100%, yes. Yes.
Cool. All right. So my first question is in the US, property management costs somewhere around, for a long-term rental, low end like 7%, high end 12%. And for a short-term rental, somewhere around like 20%. What's the breakdown for cost of a long-term rental versus a short-term rental?
You know, really focus mostly on short-term rentals, some more the Airbnb VRBOs. Quick returns, net gains monthly are greater than longer term. I also feel you have a bit more control and more touches. Whereas when you get into the long term, you know, we've had a few and they turn out okay, but it's just, I really feel like you're just not quite as hands-on and as involved when someone's staying there for a long period of time. Whereas when they're there for just a matter of weeks or a couple of months, you're constantly touching, you're constantly assisting and helping facilitate whatever it is they want to accomplish during their stay. So it's just a different level of engagement that I feel we offer when it's a shorter term. So I think it's a win-win for us, for our clients and the guests that are staying there. As far as typical return overall on your investments, you're probably looking, I would say, anywhere between, depending on the value of the property, probably an 8 to 12 year return based on the net earnings. And as far as our costs, just as you said, it's typically, you know, because again, we're in the short term, so it's typically 20%. We do have a monthly holding as well, just for facilitating bill payments, the basic maintenance stuff that we take care of as well. So it's not solely renting it out. It's, you know, all the cleaners in, out, any sort of reparations throughout. And again, that all important piece, those bill payments, which, believe it or not, a lot of the apps work here locally in Mexico, but as soon as you leave the country, they don't. A lot of them will only accept Mexican credit cards or debit cards. So it can be a really interesting road.
Okay. And so what kind of services are provided in the short-term rental? You hinted at a few: cleaning. Like if someone were to work with you, what kind of services are involved in property management? 20%.
I'm going to say the basic, but we also include, just because just how we roll. You know, if a storm's coming through, we'll go in and we'll help prepare your property for a storm. By that, I mean, we'll even pull things into the middle of a room, cover everything. And that's just part and parcel of it. Again, the bill payments, as I've said a few times now, basically everything to do with it. So making sure that everything is the way it's intended to be, not just for the next guest, but for when you're going to return and use it. So we want to make sure that everything is always properly maintained. We manage it. We're on call 24/7. So if there's a raging party that, you know, takes place, I know it's not Cancun on a bachelor party or anything, but if there were a rager that takes place, we'll get phone calls from neighbors or whatever it is, and we definitely get involved before it goes to an authority. And again, we want to ensure that the property and all the neighbors are all respected. And so it really is a whole bunch of stuff. It's so hard to nail it down. And we have standards, but we don't have a standard. We really do more a la carte. So depending on what your specific needs and wants are, we'll tailor our packages for you specifically. If it's not being used ever and you just want us to manage the basics, we have a basic monthly that will charge you each and every month, and we'll go by at minimum weekly to check on the property, just to make sure that everything's going. If you leave your water on, make sure there's no leaks, water plants, all that type of stuff. We'll start your car for you, make sure the battery is not going low. We'll restock your fridge for you before you come with your favorite beverages. It really is up to you, and we can get as granular as someone would like. It just depends on the individual. Again, everyone's unique. So we like treating each person and property that way.
That's awesome. You hinted at something and now I forgot. There's something
okay.
Like I was in the middle of, I was like, you said something. Okay, let me ask you this. Is there anything that you don't do? Basically like, there's one that I had, and then that one was messaging. You guys help like messaging the person who's messaging on the platform, accepting the people, like all the on Airbnb stuff too?
Yes, so we manage all the communications with each guest. Some properties we have set to instant. A lot of them we do not, just because we'd like to have an exchange with them and do a bit more screening. Again, we discuss all this with each client, so it depends on how comfortable they are with just sort of going blindly into something. But we do all of that. We also always create a group inside of WhatsApp. WhatsApp is very popular down here in Mexico. So we always set up a WhatsApp group with the owners of the property, and a couple of us as well, just so we can always communicate. So if we're going in, especially if someone has security cameras, as an example, we make sure they know before we come, so they don't just get an alert and have a minor heart attack before they look at the video stream. So just all that type of stuff. We're in constant communication. I keep saying clients, but they really become friends and family. We all work very closely with one another, and that's key to our success, is that open communication, and that constant communication.
Okay. So it doesn't seem like that there's anything that you like.
Listen,
basically no.
I'm sure there's some things that I wouldn't do. No one's ever requested anything like that.
Okay.
But, no,
so far so good.
Flexible. So far so good. We have a lot of very satisfied clients, again, who have become friends and family to us. So it's just been a lot of fun, and people come down here, even if they're just investing in a vacation rental, and it's just amazing. You come to Cabo and your energy is entirely different as soon as you get off the plane and leave the airport, and you feel the warmth of the sunshine. Any anxiety that you were dealing with before you boarded that flight, whatever it is, professionally, personally, it all just goes by the wayside. So all you typically see are smiley, happy faces everywhere you go. So
That's
just
awesome.
incredible.
Cool. All right, let me see what I got here. Is there ever a scenario where something goes wrong with the property and someone had to fly in to handle something, or is it mostly hands off? Because like the people who I'm going to be talking to for the most part live in the United States, and they're going to want to buy in Mexico, probably for some Airbnb, and probably for like a place that they can go to vacation for a couple weeks of the year, and then Airbnb for the rest. So other than like when they come for vacation, are there typically issues that someone has to fly in and handle something?
No, there really isn't. Nothing's presented where we've had to have one of the owners fly in to deal with anything. And even if there was something where they wanted to add something to a legal document, they could very easily assign us as power of attorney for that specific, not their entire portfolio or estate, but just specifically for that one detail, and we can manage it. We really don't have anything like that. We take care of, again, literally everything soup to nuts all the way through. So we facilitate the changing of names when a property is taken over here. So we'll help you go in and get the electrical bill change into your name, get all your services set up. We'll manage your payment of your fideicomiso, which is your trust, which is done annually. We'll ensure all your taxes are paid. And I'm going to say, maybe even more importantly, is it will ensure that taxes are paid on the rental earnings. So that everything is in good standing. You're in good standing. Your property is in good standing. Everyone gets their little piece and everyone's happy.
Okay, cool. So it's nice because I'm assuming that is a big worry for people. Is like, oh, do I have to come and handle stuff? I know Mary mentioned power of attorney for the signing of the house anyway. So that was something that I think people were worried about.
For sure, but once that's completed, once we have the basic documentation, so things that are needed typically when you're going to try and put like your electrical into your name or whatever that is, all we need is copies of passports. There's a simple document that you just sign away. We go in, and it doesn't even have to. It could be a third party goes in as long as we have the proper paperwork and get it all done. So it's there is a bit of lifting on our end, but it's really simple. It's an hour out of your life, which is nothing.
Okay.
So it can be managed remotely for the owners. There's really zero concern. It's uber safe down here. It's a safe investment. You have your trusts all set up with banks. There's no risk, but your dollar goes so much farther. And like I said, it's just everyone is just so happy every single day here. It's just a different way of life.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. The safety, a big concern of a lot of the comments I had was, oh, the cartel is going to take your house, or the government is going to take your house. From your experience, going back 12 years now, have you ever seen or heard of anything like that?
Listen, I'm honest to a fault. I have seen it once, not on one of our properties, but I have seen it. It is a crazy, drawn out, like you have to be, native Mexican. The house has to be essentially deserted. Back taxes aren't paid. Nothing's paid up. It's just been left sitting. And then you have to spend 7 to 10 years proving that you have been trying to find and locate the owner. So putting out ads in the newspapers or whatever it is
for 7 to 10 years.
Yeah. So it's a big deal. It's not something that you typically see. And when we're talking about investments and the properties that all the expats are drawn to and reside in, typically everyone wants inside a gated community. It's not necessary, but their first time in Mexico, everyone's fearful of that cartel thing. So they want to be inside walls. They want a guard. They want, and I get it. Totally get it. I have a background in security. Totally get it. Once you're here, you realize really quickly that there really isn't. There's no greater risk here than you would experience in any American city or Canadian city for that matter. Exact same things. If you want to find trouble, you're going to find it. If you don't, you're good. Right? It's very, very simple. But as far as, it's held in a trust by the banks, just because of the Mexican laws with where we as immigrants can own land. But it's all held, it's all signed off, it's all approved by the government. There's really, I'm not going to say zero risk, but maybe 0.0001%, like exceptionally low. As long as you're maintaining everything and you're actually participating in things, everyone knows you, nothing's going to go sideways.
Pretty safe then.
Yeah, if it's a derelict building, the same thing can happen in the US.
Yeah, 100%. Based off of what you said.
Yeah, it's the exact same concept. If you leave something untouched and all your neighbors are complaining because no one's cut the grass in 10 years, the city's going to become involved. Right? It's the same concept.
Okay, cool. All right. So do you have like licensed contractors that you work with to fix things up? Because if you're buying an Airbnb, a big thing is you got to get it rehabbed and make it look beautiful so people want to come.
Yes. So we do that. We do setups. That's another thing that we can offer if you don't have the time or the wherewithal.
Mhm.
Basically send us what your vision is. We'll work closely with you, identifying, going out, finding pieces, photographing, sending for your approval. We'll set everything up. As far as contractors, we have a team in-house. They're all locals. We don't hire expats. Everyone is Mexican. We want to stimulate the economy. We want to help families out. So we do have a team on that are specialized in whether it's tile setting, electrical, plumbing, you name it, we have a guy on.
Mhm.
And that's where, again, if there's anything that's identified, whether a guest is inside the space at the time, or it's, after they've checked out and we're doing our re and re's that we notice it, it's repaired before anyone comes in. If it's a massive repair, of course, we'll communicate, but basic maintenance stuff, we just go ahead and complete it, and then we can communicate after the fact.
Okay, cool. That's really important because I know people are going to need that. Last question that I have, well, second to last is, well, third to last, actually. I just keep thinking of more. Um, evictions. Have you dealt with any? How does that process look in Mexico? One of the questions specifically was about, like, I hear that the laws favor tenants so much more. Good luck getting someone out. So just tell me about your experience or what you know about that.
Okay. Yes, you're right. In Mexico, the laws and rules definitely favor the tenant.
Mhm.
But with that, again, it'll always go back to the agreement that you have in place and how, I guess, how solid that is and how well written and detailed it is. So that's your first. We really did, like, we haven't had anything because we're like, again, we primarily deal in vacation rentals.
Mhm.
So we've had zero. We also have the support of the platforms. So very well when you're dealing with an Airbnb as an example, not that this is a specific plug for them, but I guess it kind of is now. I hope you're
Yeah.
getting points off something.
I don't get anything for
Well,
that.
not yet. Wait. But with that, you have their backing as well. So if anything did go sideways, we are a super host, so we have, I guess, a higher level of support through their group.
Mhm.
And they would become involved really quickly as well. They have all of their guarantees, they have all their insurance as well in the background. So again, if we were dealing in a crazy long term and something went sideways, potentially, but highly improbable,
Mhm.
again, in these scenarios and these types of properties.
So even in a long term, you're saying like it really comes down to the contract and how good the contract is written.
Yes, it'd have to be really, really clearly stated on what the terms
Okay.
and conditions are. And again, the same thing, I know I hate repeating myself, but I'm going to
Yeah.
do it, is because it really is, it's, in a lot of cases, it is very similar to, the rules that we follow and abide to in Canada and the US.
Mhm.
Most of the laws here are based on French laws. Weird, I know, but true.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Were they ever inhabited by the French? No, right?
Not that I'd have to read my history book again. Not that I'm aware of. But everything is very similar to what you're used to. The only difference is, again, the process. Things move a little slower. So what you're used to doing, in one day, could very well take 2 weeks here.
Mhm.
And that's just the administrative side of it. So, but aside from that and the language, it's very much what you're used to. And in most of the neighborhoods that, chances are the majority of your viewers are going to be interested in, you're surrounded by, a pretty dense population of expats.
That's what
So
I hear.
yeah, so your safety is high. You asked earlier about cartel. There hasn't been any issue here for, I'm gonna say, like maybe 5 years or so.
Mhm.
Um, and your government and armed forces ensure that everyone knows that you're there to protect us in Baja California Sur. So we've been very fortunate. We don't get a lot of that.
Mhm.
We really
Okay.
don't.
Cool. All right. So if
Still 3 more
someone wants,
questions?
two more. If someone wanted to, I mean, that's if I don't come up with anything else.
Yeah.
If someone wanted to work with you, where's the best place for them to go to find you?
Best place, we do have a website, so it's www.cabocasasdelolo, that's DE, just pronounced day, LOLO.com. We also have, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. Sorry, I'm not a TikToker yet. Got to work on that. Got to get my kids.
Okay.
With me. But yes, that's the easiest way. And I do have Canadian number. So if you're in the US, easy to dial that. It's forwarded to my Mexican cell, or just hit me up on WhatsApp on my Mexican cell that you'll find on any of those pages. And again, we're on 24/7, and there's no stupid questions, sincerely.
Thank you. All right. I did think of two more. Mary, I have two more total. Mary told me about the contract situation with property management, and she said that you recommended that every detail for the property management contract be written out and get looked at by a lawyer. Why is that? Is there something specific about Mexico like that, or?
You know, the lawyer part is really just for someone's peace of mind. If they're really uncomfortable or they're apprehensive entering into something, I was like, by all means, put it in front of a professional. I have no problem with that. So that's not really paramount to us. It's more if our clients want to have something reviewed, they don't sign anything without a lawyer, go for it. But we do spell things out. Again, when we get into, like I said, we do things more a la carte. So when someone wants a specific, we want to make sure that we're capturing that. And that's to protect both sides. I want to be able to deliver on whatever it is that I committed to. So if it's, there has to be, only blue M&Ms in the dish when you get there, let's write that down so I don't forget only blue and I don't put green in by accident. There's a certain type of beer you want, a certain type of tequila you want out, whatever it is. I like to spell it out just so that way it removes any sort of confusion in the future. So again, I'm as transparent as one can be. And I personally like spelling it out. Some people fly by hands, and I just think you set yourself up for failure if you do.
Yeah. It's always better to have things in writing, regardless of whether we're talking about business, relationships, or whatever.
Seriously, just again, sometimes we forget, right? Like sometimes you miss something. So it's nice to, just like you wrote a business plan this year. You go back to it when one of those months you're going, okay, I got to review my plan again. I got to get on my plan again.
It's literally what I did yesterday. And I was like, oh, wow, I wrote that.
That's
good thing I still 4 months left.
Yeah, but that's why you wrote it. Now you're working on next year's plan.
Yeah. All right. So is there anything else that I may have missed or we didn't talk about that you think is really important for someone who lives in the US or Canada and wants to invest in Airbnb in anywhere in Mexico specifically?
Really, again, it's just remember remember the reasons why you're selecting Mexico. One of the biggest things are the cultural differences. They're so rich in tradition and family values. But just remember, they do things a little differently. So don't come here and expect it to be the same. You're just going to make yourself nuts. So come here and embrace it. Do your best to emulate and sort of get into the groove here. But as far as investment, solely talking about dollars and cents, there are very few markets that are growing at the same rate that we're seeing here. It's only just begun. So, I know a lot of markets, people refer to all the bubbles, this, that, we only started booming here in the last year and a half, really. So we're nowhere near, that bubble bursting. We've still probably got an easy 7 years before anything were to, maybe at that point level off. Year over year, we're seeing increases like high double digits. Wow. So there's properties that are literally in pre-construction that I can see. And before you even take possession in your 18 months, you've already seen an increase of 35 points. Like there are very few markets that you get to experience that in. And this just happens to be one of them. And that's where, again, just as to recap everything you've asked and that road you've been gently guiding me down, it is uber safe. That's paramount. That really is. That's the biggest thing.
That's really important for people though, because if they're going to find a place to vacation to and have an investment at where they're putting their entire life savings in, it's they got to know that it's safe. And I think that, you know, the media, I don't like them, but they do a really bad job of according to, from my conversations with all of you guys, it seems really safe. I was in Cancun, didn't really feel any problems. I've been to Cancun twice. And it's, you know, they're doing a really bad job of portraying what it's like living in Mexico for someone in the US. The only thing you hear about is cartel, 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 government, government, government. And you don't really hear about how many Americans are. Like Mary was telling me she could get by with a little bit of Spanish, but she was like, I speak English most of the time. I was like, what? You live in another country for 5 years and you don't speak the language?
Well, Mary's practicing. In her defense, I got to tell you, I see her, you know, several times a week, and she's trying.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
I'm a little more fortunate because I do have that French background, so I can understand a lot more. I really mess things up when it comes to speaking. Just I don't pronounce things correctly for a whole number of reasons. But again, just everything you've asked, smart questions, investments, sound. The sooner someone, obviously, listen, like any market, the sooner you get in, and I'm not trying to bully anyone, you know, try to speed up anyone's process. If you don't have the money, you don't have the money. You know, don't go and, you know, and become house poor. I'm not suggesting that, but especially at this point, there really isn't a better area than Cabo in Mexico to invest in real estate. It's just booming, and it's growing outside of Cabo. So even if you were to look at a map and you start looking up at, you know, La Rivera, or looking up at Los Barriles, that, you know, you have one of the top rated four-season hotels on the coast, like globally. Wow. They have a little private airstrip there. Like the properties there are going to be just blowing things up. So it's just going to attract more and more wealth into the area, which just, again, increases security, increases your return on your investment. It's just a win-win-win. And again, perfect timing. So anyone that's looking, you know, give us a call. There's, you know, we don't take your blood. We'll work with you. We'll answer your questions. And if it works, great. And if not, you know, love in the world for you.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you for your time, Lolo. This has been great. And thank you for answering all the questions.
Thank you, brother.
If you enjoyed the entire series, make sure to hit the subscribe button, because it took me like 4 months to pull this whole thing off. I had to reach out to everyone and get this all done. And I did this all for you guys because I was interested in doing it and you guys really wanted to learn more. So I decided to learn more myself to teach you all. And I want to give a special thanks to Mary, Kathy, Lolo, and Susanna, all for being on here, and Pablo for being on here and helping me out and giving me all the information I need and being so willing to hop on calls and answer questions for me. Without them, this whole thing would not have been possible. And so if you're planning on buying in Mexico, I really suggest you use them. They're great people, they're friendly, they all speak English, and are very knowledgeable about what they do.